In Canto 25, Dante meets St. James, who questions him about hope, a virtue to which Dante the exile has a special relation, as Beatrice explains. The church militant, whose ranks include all still serving their term of service on earth, can claim no son who lives more entirely on hope than he. A truth you will find duly inscribed in the mind divine, the sun that enlightens all our band. For hope is the stay of the exiled, the defrauded, the thwarted, the wronged. Hope with its phantom consolation like the unreal-seeming beams of a winter sun. He's learned to draw an ideal warmth from the coldness of hope, and this earned him permission to leave the Egypt of earthly existence and see our true Jerusalem before his enlistment in life was up. Dante, with some originality, makes James the ultimate exponent of hope. James declares, "My affection for hope still shows fiery inside me, for hope never left me throughout the final struggle from which I emerged with a martyr's crown." And these lines inspired Di Paolo to repeat the figure of James as a head emerging from the starry sphere, communing with the allegoric figure of hope. In his response to James' question, Dante discusses the garments of splendor awaiting the resurrected, the ultimate hoped-for reward, and thus we have two naked figures from the resurrection, anticipating their vestments, rising to meet Christ, who is shown twice, suffering on the right and in majesty on the left, to show the certainty of hope's final fulfillment. At bottom right, Dante begins his encounter with John, the exemplar of love. This virtue is shown with crown and wings, and a long arrow that makes him amusingly Cupid-like. Here in Canto 26, John continues to question Dante about the nature of love. Di Paolo has made John an old man here, to emphasize the dignity and seriousness of the theme. John is surrounded by a ring of souls, illustrating the lines, "Since God is the all-excelling good, the love of every intelligence able to recognize him as such must be drawn to him more than to anything else. This is the basic philosophic proof that love, when fully conscious, has God as its explicit object." Aristotle sets forth this truth, whence it follows that immortal reasoning beings, that is, men and angels, love God insofar as they truly love it all. The souls look Godwards, for in them love has taken on its pure form as adoration. Note that even Beatrice looks heavenwards now that the subject is love. Here Dante meets the soul of Adam, represented as the ancestor of all humanity by the line of human figures behind him. Adam solves a number of theological conundrums for Dante, including how long he stayed in purgatory before Christ brought him to heaven, and what language he spoke in paradise. The Garden of Eden is shown at lower right. According to Dante's geography, paradise is set on the mesa top of the mountain that became purgatory. Since the Garden of Eden is at the center of the world, the rivers that define the four directions emerge from it, and these are shown with precocious cubism on one side of the hill. Since Canto 24, we have been in the heaven of the stars, which is why a circle of stars has defined all the vignettes since we first encountered St. Peter. Now in Canto 27, Peter, who first met us, dismisses us with an oration on the degeneracy of the papacy, which Peter himself, as first Bishop of Rome, founded. Behind Peter is the Trinity, the Son at left, the Holy Spirit at center, with spiritual fire blazing from his forehead, and the Father at right, with beard and crown. Usually the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit have identical halos, either round to show their perfection or triangular for their trinity. If the distinction here into round and quadrate means anything, it suggests the immaterial perfection of the Father and the projection of the Son and Holy Spirit into the four elements of the material world. The Trinity is shown here for the sake of the childlike figures adoring it. These are taken from later in the canto, from a scene in the next heaven, where Beatrice observes that nowadays faith and innocence are hard to find except among children. The main theme of the illustration is Peter's denunciation of the modern popes. We never planned, we never imagined popes taking sides in political fights, making every day a personal day of judgment to casually damn whoever gets in their way. We couldn't have guessed that Peter's keys would become just another trivial insignia on banners waving overhead in wars where the baptized battled on both sides. The benign-looking wolf echoes Peter's lines about unworthy clergy. Dressed as shepherds, greedy, thieving wolves maraud along the pastures. They think they have good right to fleece the sheep. We see it all from here on high. Beatrice's speech in Canto 28 is the best introduction to this image. She said, "The universe is ordered like this, with stillness at the center. The earth is immobile in its midst, while all the enclosing globes turn and are turned in turn till you come to this outermost shell, which spins all its lesser fellows within itself. This is called the primum mobile, Latin for the first to move. This heaven is unenclosed by any other. It has no location, for its place has no relation to anything finite outside itself. It simply is within the mind of God, and there it turns and returns. That is, it turns in circles, longing for and seeking its Creator. From God it draws the power it sends down like rain through all the inside skies to earth." In Di Paolo's rendering, we have Jesus in the center, in his character of God's creative word, bringing the world into being. He stands on the primum mobile, the outermost heaven, which Di Paolo has composed of cherubim. Those are actually little round pumpkin-like heads, each set in 4 golden wings. The motion of the sphere is suggested by the winds rising from it, which make God's yellow robes flutter around him. We look past God down upon the earth. We face the mountainous landmass that composes Europe, Asia, and Africa. Around it there is a band of water, then a darker blue band to suggest all the successive heavens between earth and the primum mobile. Now Dante's perspective shifts, and he sees not the physical world that contains luminous signs of God's presence, but God, in whom the physical world is contained. The vision begins with Dante gazing up into a point of light. When his vision and Beatrice's explanation becomes fuller, he says, "As the sky shines pure and bright when Boreas has scoured the clouds, blowing from the northwest gently, but still with windy insistence, making the heavens smile pellucid blue from horizon to horizon, as a man would ear to ear. Thus my mind became cloudless and clear, when my lady had dispelled all confusion. The new truth sparkled for me, like the morning star in a pale transparent dawn." Di Paolo has shown Dante looking at the tiny point of light which becomes an entire cosmos, and the clearing of Dante's mind is suggested by the face of the wind god Boreas smiling from the center. In this last illustration to Canto 28, Dante's vision of God expands from a point of light to reveal the angelic hierarchies circling God. These are in 3 groups, which Di Paolo has coded in pink, blue, and yellow. To the far right is Dionysius the Areopagite, the accuracy of whose book on the heavenly hierarchy Dante triumphantly confirms. Though we may have difficulty persuading ourselves to care about such details, for Dante and his readers, the geography of the world beyond was a matter of burning curiosity, and the solutions Dante offers to such conundrums as the order of the angel hierarchies here, or the answers he obtained in his encounter with Adam, established Dante's credibility as a mystical cosmonaut. The details, though dry and colorless to us, were as momentous then as those matte gray rocks brought back from the moon are to us.